In this video, I will show you how you can build your first Gradient AI agent development kit agent. What I have done here is built a fresh repository with only a requirements.txt file. In this requirements.txt file, we have Gradient ADK version 0.1.2. Let's go ahead and install those requirements. Okay. After we install the requirements, that gives us access to the Gradient CLI. We can make sure the Gradient CLI works by running Gradient. Okay. Now we can run the Gradient agent init command, which will initialize a fresh agent with several templatized files. It asks us for a workspace name. We will name it first ADK agent. And it asks us for a deployment name next. A deployment name you can think of as an environment, so a single agent workspace can have one too many deployments. We'll go ahead and accept the suggestion of main. Okay, so that worked, and now it gives us some next steps. It tells us to edit main.py to implement your logic. So we'll go back into our repository, and we see main.py is now created, and it has a simple LangGraph agent that only has one node. That's called LLM call. So this agent is just going to give us access to an LLM, call that, return the output. In this case, it uses the DigitalOcean Gradient serverless inference service. This gives us access to around 20 plus different LLMs to invoke. In this case, it has us invoking OpenAI GPT-OSS-120B. To use this, we'll want to make sure that we have the gradient model access key environment variable set in our .env file. To obtain this key, you'll want to navigate to the DigitalOcean console into the serverless inference keys section. Okay, so since I've already done that, let's go ahead and move on to the next step of running it locally. Okay, it's up and running locally, and you can see it serves up the agent on localhost port 8080, and it gives us a URL to invoke here. Let's go ahead and just ask this a simple question with the appropriate input or prompt. Okay, and this will respond with a giant output since we are not using stream mode, and we can see that our agent is now working. Okay, so now that it's working, we can go ahead and deploy the agent. To deploy the agent, you want to make sure that you have exported your DigitalOcean API token. To obtain that token, you'll want to navigate to the DigitalOcean console into the API settings. When you create your token, you want to make sure that you have the scopes of GenAI and projects. Okay, since I've already done that, we can go ahead and run Gradient Agent Deploy. This will do a few steps before actually initializing the deployment, just to validate that you have your repository set up correctly. Okay, and it looks like it's starting. This will take around 1 minute or slightly longer, so we'll go ahead and check back when it's done. Okay, and you can see that the agent is now deployed successfully, and it gives us an example curl that we can use. Prior to doing that, let's go ahead and look at the UI so that we can see our agent. Okay, first agent ADK is deployed, and you can see that you can get the URL from the console itself. We can also view the logs here. We can view the log stream, enable log stream insights, and then we can also see the different releases that we've done. You can think of releases as versions. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and test our deployed agent. I've generated this curl already. This uses the URL that we just saw. And to actually invoke your deployed agent, you want to use a DigitalOcean API token with the GenAI scope. In this case, I've generated this temporary token for this agent. Okay, since we've included that in the header, let's go ahead and run this. Okay, and you can see that the agent responds successfully, which is great. That means it's deployed and working. A couple other things that we can do now that the agent's deployed. We can run gradient agent logs to view the logs of the running agent, and you can see this here in the console. You can see the request that we just made. which is good. Secondarily, you can also access the gradient agent traces. By running the gradient agent traces command, it will pull open the UI, and we can see the results here. So we can see the prompt hello. The agent responded with hello, how can I assist you today? And then you can see the spans down here. In this case, there's only one span because this is a very simple agent. Okay, now that we're done with that, we can go ahead and clean up our agent. And to do this, we can simply destroy the agent. Okay, so in this video, we've shown you how to create and use your first DigitalOcean ADK agent.